Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Historia the Podcast.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Kylie.
And we actually did something right.
I know, I was like, I gotta make it normal, We did it! It only
just
took us
ruined
like
it.
90 episodes, something like that. I think this is episode 90 or last week was. I don't know.
Damn.
So yeah.
We're pushing through. How you been?
I was just trying to burp and it was stuck. I've been good. Just living my life. I only have one more week with my third job and then I'll be back to 2.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited because it's just like, not that I'm working like, I'm only working like 35 hours max, but it feels like so much because it's like I don't have a day off, you know? I took today off, but like, yeah, so it's just been a lot. And so I'm excited for that to be like past me, but I got a free tax return. Like I got to get my taxes done for free and they were really complicated this year. So I think I'm like, that was pretty worth it working there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I'll probably work there again next year, just like a few hours a week because it's easy. I just kind of sit there and I get to do my taxes for free. So yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, adult things. So anyway, besides that, just kind of hanging out. Nothing's really changed since the last time I spoke to y'all. So how about you, Jamie? Anything you want to share?
I was telling Kylie I've been watching a lot of rom-coms and I watched a really sad one last night and I cried.
And so we talked about how she cannot watch anymore.
Yes, I'm at that point in James's deployment to where I'm watching way too many romance movies.
You know, if you want to have a scary movie night, just hit me up.
I don't do scary.
Thriller movie night.
I do enjoy thrillers. They're very interesting. I did watch Death on the Nile.
It's a good one.
It's a really good one.
I love that movie.
I do love it. I was like, oh shit. But no, other than that, we got the freakiest weather the last couple days.
Oh my God.
So this whole week, it's been like in the 70s and 80s. And then out of nowhere yesterday, it just dropped to like 40 and just started raining. And then it turned into snow.
Mm-hmm. And this morning, it was just covered in snow.
I know. I had to shovel.
I was like, what is going on? But that's just like spring here. It's just like a mess.
Oh, yeah. You can't do anything. Like, I'm not planting flowers until June.
Yeah. Yeah. Summer doesn't start till like June. Mm-hmm. And so you just kind of like, I honestly, like, I think spring is my least favorite season. I don't know. I hate winter, but like, at least with winter, you know, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
But like with spring, it's like, I don't know what to wear. Like, should I wear a sweater? Should I, like, you have to dress in layers and it's like frustrating.
Well, in the morning, you're like freezing your ass off because it's like 15 degrees. And then by noon, it's like 70.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay.
And then it's cold at night.
Mm-hmm. Fall is still my favorite by far.
Oh, for sure.
Watching everything dying
Fall
is just my enjoyment.
I love watching things die. Like, I like the idea of spring, like it all coming back together, but
nothing's blooming yet.
I know. I'm just getting allergies all the time. And
oh, I know. My eyes get so agitated.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm wearing eye makeup. It's just going to go down right down my face.
Last time we recorded, I remember like how much I was struggling with my allergies. I'm not that bad today, but that was like the worst day I've had this
Mine
season.
is really bad in the morning when I first wake up. That's when I'm like coughing and like sneezing. And I sneeze like 10 times in a row.
You're one of those.
I'm a bit concerned.
I've always wanted to be one of those people because I like sneezing. I think it's fun.
It's fun.
Yes, it feels good.
Not when you're driving and you're sneezing like 10 times. You feel like you're going to pull off the side of the road.
I think, like, because I only just do, like, 1 or 2 giant sneezes. Like, hatcha! Like, huge. And it feels so good. Because most of the time, it's, like, stuck in my nose.
Yeah.
For, like, hours. And then I can finally let it loose. But this is a really great conversation.
I don't have that leisure. I just slowly die, and then by the time I'm done sneezing, my eyes are watering, and I can't put any makeup on.
No.
Because then my eyes get agitated. I hate it.
I'm sorry. It's no fun. Speaking of agitated eye, no.
How can you transition from that?
This is a hard one. What was the last word you said? Agitated?
Yeah.
You know who else was agitated?
Who?
People who invent things and just don't get the credit that they deserve.
Are we talking about peanut butter?
No.
Oh.
Well, now I'm curious about that.
Light bulb?
Nope.
Oh. I don't know anything else.
Okay. We're thinking not just like an item. We're thinking a whole company.
I don't know anything about business history.
Perfect. So I've been wanting to cover this since we started this podcast because
Really?
there's so much tea involved. There's a movie all about it. So, What?
Gucci?
No, no, but that would be a good one. That's a good one. No, today we're talking about McDonald's.
Oh, that would have never crossed my mind.
Did you watch the Founder movie?
No.
Okay. So you don't know anything about it?
No.
Oh, perfect. Yay. That's exciting. I actually rewatched Founder last night with Basil because like I hadn't seen it in like 5-6 years. So
Is it that old?
it came out in 2017
Holy
or
shit.
2018. I don't know. I talk about it later. But yeah, so this is a crazy story. You might be like, how are you going to do 2 parts on this? Oh, it's possible. So, there's so much tea involved. There's like a known bad guy and like, the poor little brothers. So we're going to talk all about it.
Are we going to talk about how you had your birthday parties there? Because that was a thing at one point.
I did. I had a birthday party there. We got to go into the walk-in fridge and I was like, this is so cool.
It's so
and now
weird.
I do that all the time at my job. Yeah, I used to want to work at McDonald's. Like that was like my dream as a kid.
Everybody did.
I know. Like, I don't know. I feel like everyone around me was like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. And I was like, I want to work at McDonald's. But I also wanted to be an astronaut. That was the first actor in space. So that was like my big goal.
I don't think I ever had one. Of like,
You don't have a goal?
No. I never knew what I wanted to be. Like, even going into college, I had like an idea,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like 100% sure.
It happens. I mean, I feel like that's fine.
I mean, writing has always been like my passion. Like, I'm writing my book right now,
Yeah.
but we'll see how that goes.
You can have many passions.
Yeah, I just, for me, I'm not a person who is, my job isn't my life. Mm-hmm. How like people strive to like, oh, I want to be this forever. I want to be this forever. Like I would love to work in archives, but I'm not paying an extra $58,000 that I'm never going to be able to pay off to do that. I would much rather save that money and go on trips and experience life.
Which is good. I mean, as long as you're in a job that allows you to do that, that's great.
Exactly.
Period. You don't, I hate the idea of like, you have to have a career for 50 years. You have to stay with the same business if they treat you like shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it comes down to. If you're not happy there, go somewhere else. Like, it's just a job. It's not our life.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, my career's not, and I think that's why I kind of regret going to college, but like, I don't regret it because like it did help me get my job.
Yeah.
But I still regret how much it cost me.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But it was a great like life experience. Like that was the first time that I got to be on my own.
Yeah.
I had less than $500 to my name going to Flagstaff. And being a college student and trying to make that work out the whole semester. Like my mom and dad were like, oh yeah, we'll send you like some money. They never did. So I was just like stretching that money as far as I could. But I made it work. I did the stupid decision of getting a tattoo.
That costs a lot.
Yeah, it was like $100 for the one around my ankle.
So you only have 400 left.
But
yeah, I get that. I feel the same way. Like I regret going to college because like, I mean, I'm kind of using my degree, but I'm starting a business.
Yeah.
Like I don't need a degree for it because it's like, I mean, it's teaching and I'm teaching theater and I got degrees in both of that. So I guess kind of, but like, Anyway, and then I like look back at it, I'm just like, college was so fun. Like, I don't regret going at all, but so much debt.
Yeah. If you know like what you're going to do, like strive for those, like the schools that you want to go to. But if you have no idea what you want to do, start with like a state college or a community college. Like take a couple classes on something that you might be interested in.
Right.
Don't spend all of that money on... There were so many people my freshman year that were undecided.
Yes, same.
And I'm like, you're spending $20,000-$30,000 your freshman year just for being undecided.
Yeah, don't go unless you know. I feel like those are people who are like forced to go and they don't even want to. Like, don't. College is not necessary nowadays. It's not.
Everything is just like building businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
Like entrepreneur work. Like if you're really striving to be something, that's when you go to school for.
Yeah, yeah. But don't go to school just because you feel like it's the right thing to do or like the next thing to do.
Honestly, going to trade schools is a better bet. Or like you're probably going to be more successful going to a trade school, honestly.
Yeah. So anyway,
we're telling you don't go to college.
Don't go to college and start a big franchise like we're about to talk about. So I had a struggle today. So as you know, I always wait till the last minute to do my notes. So I was doing them yesterday. Actually, I didn't wait till the last minute. I was doing them 2 days ago.
We are so different.
I know. It's amazing. So I was doing them 2 days ago and I was like halfway through and I was like doing great. And then I did more last night and then this morning, and everything I did this morning was gone.
Oh no.
On the iPad. It was only like an hour worth of research, but I was still like, are you kidding me? So I ended up like, I have a lot going on here. I have like some notes on my phone, like, because I can't trust my iPad because it wouldn't even let me like screenshot anything. Like, I don't know what's going on. So anyway, I'm going to be going back and forth and it's going to be interesting. So, but for part one, we're all good. We're all good there. Okay. So let's dive on in, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my sources, the Smithsonian Magazine had a ton of information. Love it. Newspapers.com. Love it. The Franchise Wire. And then I also watched a documentary called The Industrial Industries World Radio. It's on YouTube, and it was really informative, and they do all kinds of different documentaries, so check it out. And then, of course, the Founder movie, but I don't really count that as a source. But, like...
Is it like a dramatization?
It is, but it's actually very accurate compared to, like, most.
Yeah.
It's very, very accurate. There's very little things that they, like, got wrong.
Oh.
So, yeah. I guess you could count it, but, like, you know how it is. It's just a secondary source. It's just, just there for fun. Okay, so now I dive back in. With over 38,000 restaurants in over 100 countries, McDonald's is one of the most well-known fast food restaurants ever created. Probably the most well-known, but apparently Subway is the most popular for some reason.
Did you watch that Jared from Subway?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I sidetracked.
But how did this chain become a success?
Good question.
It all started with two family men who turned into... No, they didn't turn into anything. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to start. I was going to say, like, it started with two family men, and then it ended up with a businessman taking over. That's what I was trying to say.
Huh.
All right, let's jump right in. So, as you are listening to this, you've probably been to McDonald's at least once or twice. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's never been there. So, I'd be shocked if I ever met anybody. It feeds 1% of the world's population each day, which is pretty big if you think about it.
Damn.
With all the restaurant choices we have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Over 70 million people eat there daily, and 1 out of 8 Americans have worked at McDonald's before in their life.
Damn.
Yeah. So it all started with 2 brothers. We have Richard and Maurice McDonald. Maurice goes by Mac, so I'm going to call him Mac McDonald. And then Richard goes by Dick.
I don't know why that's a thing.
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
So weird.
So I'm going to be saying Dick a lot. Get over it. So the 2 McDonald brothers were born into a very poor family of Irish immigrants in rural New Hampshire. Maurice, also known as Mac, was born November 26, 1902. And Richard, also known as Dick, was born February 16th, 1909. So about 7 years apart.
I saw that smile on your lips.
Shh, don't tell them. I'll be able to say Dick without smiling. Okay. So mature.
So mature.
So their parents' names are Patrick and Marguerite McDonald. That's how she pronounced it. I was like, iconic. There was a little interview with them. It was cute. They also had 3 sisters, and I don't know their names, so sorry. So Patrick, the dad, worked in a shoe factory for 42 years. So they had a pretty solid income in the family. They were doing pretty well until one day when he was randomly laid off without pension. He was told he was too old to do the job any longer.
Why wouldn't you give him pension?
I know. It's pretty fucked up.
You work that long there, and then you're considered
right?
old.
Yeah.
So you can't work there anymore.
They're like, bye, good luck. So they kind of had to just, lose everything.
That sucks.
Right. They were like, we're not going to be able to make it unless we make a change.
Yeah.
So they all knew kind of staying in the New Hampshire area was not the best idea. And the brothers were like, you know what? We can make a change. Let's do this. And so they kind of had that mindset of we might start from the bottom, but we're going to get all the way to the top. And their goals ever since they were young was to become millionaires. That was the big thing that they were chasing. And they're just really sweet guys. A lot of businessmen, they have that that cocky personality.
Well, when you come from humble beginnings.
Yeah, it helps sometimes.
It does. Sometimes.
Sometimes they'll just
it
turn the opposite way.
It's
Bonnie and
a
Clyde.
trauma movie.
Bonnie and Clyde went the opposite way with this.
Oy.
So they were willing to do whatever they needed to do to be financially independent. They're like, you know what? You guys have taken care of us long enough. At this point, they're teenagers. So they're like, we're going to make our own life for us. And don't worry, we'll help you guys out once we get there. So they both had a high school diploma and lots of ambition. And they made a vow to be millionaires by age 50. So in 1926, Mac decided to head west where a distant relative lived, and they were told the relative would hook them up with some new jobs. And so Dick also moved there with him. He's like, I'm coming along with you, brother. And so they worked as handymen, truck drivers, and set movers at Columbia Movie Studios with silent films, which paid $25 a week. Which is back then. Yeah. So it's not a lot back then. It's about average. But one of them, I think it was Mac. Mac really wanted to be in film. That was his big passion. Or Dick was just kind of sorry.
There for the ride.
Yeah. Dick. Just kidding. Grow up. Okay. So they knew they were okay, this is a pretty cool job. We get to be on set. We're involved in movies, but we're not getting paid much. There's no way we can go from this to millionaires. So they're like, we can't do this forever. They tried to get more into the directing and producing world, but that would just take a long time to get to. And they're like, this is stressful. So they couldn't really see a future in what they were doing, but they were just you know what, let's just stick with it and save as much money as we can as we're doing it. So that's what they did. And they just kept on saving money as much as they possibly could. So in 1930, there were many people in the film industry that were talking about a ran-down movie theater outside of Los Angeles, California, called the Mission Theater. They're like, man, that theater has been around forever, and they're getting rid of it. What are they going to do? The McDonald brothers heard about this, and they were like, what if we, leased it out? What if we, took control of that movie theater? Because then we can, start our own business. Mm-hmm. And so they went to the Mission Theater, and they met the owner, and they're like, hey, can we lease this out? We don't have a lot of money right now, but if we take over this building here and create our own movie theater, we will give you money when we make the money, basically. And he agreed to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't do that now.
I know. So they just made this deal. It just sounded like it was so easy, but I think that guy was just kind of nobody wants this place. So if you want to take it, go for it. So he agreed, and they now owned the theater. It fit 750 customers, and the brothers even installed a concession stand so that people would have to spend more money, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, That's a pretty good tactic, I feel like, even though movie theaters are very expensive.
Well, that's how movie theaters get their money is from the concessions.
Yeah. It wouldn't be enough if it was just movie tickets.
Yeah.
So, but they decided to then rename the theater the Beacon, just to make it sound more fun, I guess.
Beacon.
In 1931, the theater opened up, and it was not good timing because of the Great Depression. That's going on.
That's true.
This, and if you don't know what that is, go look it up. No. Stock market crashed in 1929. So it was a great time to start a business.
Everyone struggled.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Right. So they barely had any business, and they were putting pretty much all their money into the theater. So they weren't really able to save money. It was just kind of all going back into the building. And they were constantly behind on payments to keep the theater going. And they were worried about it foreclosing. So they, at one point, even took some silver that they had and buried it in the backyard of the theater just in case the bank came for them. They'd be like, at least we have this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they were like desperate to keep it open.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to give up on it. Then they noticed across the street there was a Wiley's root beer and hot dog stand on the corner, and they were getting consistent business while every other business was shutting down or had 1 or 2 customers coming in. And so after 7 years, that's a long time to try to keep the business going.
Yeah.
The McDonald's sold off the theater and decided to use the money they got from it to get into the food business. They were like, they can do it, so can we.
That's hilarious that they didn't even have like a passion for like cooking or anything. It was all just business related stuff.
You would think that they would. They'd be like,
I know that when you're eating a McDonald's burger, it was not because they wanted to be cooks.
It was a Great Depression. That's why. So yeah, they were kind of like, if that guy can do it, so can we. Let's do this. I love that they just like 2 peas in a pod. Like they just, until they die, they stick together. It's pretty iconic. So in 1957, the brothers opened a food stand called the Airdrome in the next town over. And this was just off of Route 66. So this was like a pretty poppin' area. They made an I can never say that word, octagonal. Is that right?
Yeah.
I always want to say octagonal. Like, I don't know what they want to do. They made an octagonal open air food stand, cutting a deal with Sunkist to sell fallen fruit. They would sell 20 dozen oranges for $0.25.
Holy shit, Sunkist has been around for a while.
Yeah. And so obviously, like in this area of California, oranges are everywhere. Yep. So that's what they were selling. And they were making pretty good money at first. So then they were like, let's throw in something else. So then they started selling hot dogs. And then they were like, let's add in some hamburgers. It's a barbecue. Let's do it. So then they were selling hot dogs and hamburgers for 10 cents each. They also sold all-you-can-drink orange juice for 5 cents since they lived in an Orange Grove area. So you could just come back for a refill and just like hang out there and drink as much orange juice as you want.
That's such a weird drink to just have unlimited.
Right? It's so funny because I feel like you can't really like just go to somewhere and get like fresh orange juice.
No, that's not a thing.
Oh.
Lemonade, maybe.
Right. But orange juice? They made a lot of business during the racing season because there was like a racetrack near there. Mm-hmm. And so they would make bank during that. But once it was over, it would go really slow again. Mm-hmm. So in 1940, the McDonald's brothers wanted to move away, but they had no money. So they're like, we want to kind of like find a better spot, but like, how are we going to afford that? Mm-hmm. So they tried to go through the banks. Every bank denied them of a loan except the Bank of America. They gave them $5,000.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. So they ended up literally splitting their food stand in half in order to move it. Mm-hmm. And then they moved the stand 45 miles east to a working class town with a population of 100,000, San Bernardino, California.
Ugh.
Okay.
We work with them at my work and oh my God.
Tell me how you really feel because we're going to be there most of the story.
It's mostly the county that I hate.
Why?
It's just the work that I do. They're just such pain in the ass.
Like when you have to talk to them or?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Terrible.
Well, good to know. Oh, okay. So when they opened their stand in good old, I'm going to call it Sanborn because that sounds fun. I don't know if people call it from there, but I feel like they should. Why not call it Sanborn? You know?
I will ask my boss. She's from California. So
yeah. Ask them if they have a cool nickname. Maybe they call it the Dino.
No.
No, you don't think so?
No. I think they just call it San Bernardino.
No, they gotta have a nickname.
Sanny.
Sambo. I'm gonna call it Sambo. That's fun. Okay, anyway, so once they moved their stand there, they had 25 total items on their new menu. And they changed the name to McDonald's Barbecue. Now, I know I'm jumping ahead. I know I didn't go into a lot of detail about, like, their life, their personalities, their childhood, but, like, they're really not the big part of the story. That's going to be the next person that comes into the story. So, like, I'm kind of going through their journey a little quick just because it's not, like, none of those details really matter that much. They were great guys, but, like, this is, like, what started the franchise, basically. So, yeah. We now have McDonald's barbecue with 25 menu items. They have, like, ribs and pork sandwiches and all the barbecue stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they were following the popular food patterns going on in the area, and they catered to people arriving in their car. So instead of having, obviously, like a drive-thru like we have nowadays, people would come up and park their car, and then a car hop would come over to them. Think Sonic, except different.
Is there, like, a bell that they ring? Ding, 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 ding.
I think they just, like, sit in their car, and then they just notice and come out. But, like, it was a very sexualized thing because all of them were women, and they made them, like, you know, sometimes in some places they had to wear, like, mini skirts. Other times, like in this, they just wore, like, aprons. Mm-hmm. But they were expected to flirt with all the guys.
Were they on roller skates?
No.
Oh.
No. I think that was, like, a Sonic thing.
I guess.
So, but yeah, that was, like, everyone was obsessed with this idea, like going somewhere and just being able to eat in your car because, like, so many new cars had come out, you know, people were getting more financially stable. And so they wanted to travel more. So the idea of just being able to get food and then just, like, hang out in your car, like there was a drive-in, you know, they were ready for it. So this was very exciting to them. Yeah, they even took the movie theater aprons that they used and they put them on the car hops. So they were able to reuse those. Originally, they were going to call it the Dimer because they were going to sell everything for $1 dime because of the Great Depression. Yeah. But then they were like, no, you know what? We don't want to call it that because what if we want to raise prices in the future? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a pretty smart business move. Yeah. You don't want to promise dimes forever. Many believed that the work week would go down to 4 days because that was, like, a big thing going on back then. Like, we're going to cut the work week down. And so the McDonald brothers thought that they would need somewhere to drive to get quick food because they'd have more leisure time on days off. So that's kind of what led to this idea of them just being able to serve them in their cars and not so much like a restaurant feel. Yeah, so things started booming. They were making $40,000 a year, which this was in the 1940s. So that would be about $700,000 a year nowadays.
That's really good.
Oh yeah. Especially, like, right when they started. There were lots of teens and young men who came to flirt with the car hops, and there were also working families that would come too. And so it was kind of this decision that they had to make. Like, do we want to cater to these people or these people? Because you can't really have, like, a family restaurant if the whole point of it is to flirt with these car hops. Yeah. Kind of takes away from the idea. Like, it's not a Hooters. You know what I mean? It's a McDonald's. So that was definitely a conversation that they had to have. Was like, we want to be more family friendly. And so they decided that because they want to serve the working class family instead of the teens, they eventually got rid of the car hops. So World War II ended, and America was focused on improving everything, including the speed food could be prepared in. They wanted everything fast, fast, fast. And they realized that the car hops were too slow, and they needed something faster. Plus, again, they wanted to get rid of the men and the teenagers. And they're like, this might be one way to do it. So they got rid of a lot on the menu and just kind of revamped the entire thing. So hamburgers were making the most sales. Plus, hamburgers were the easiest to make. So they were like, why don't we just stick to that rather than all this barbecue food? So then in October of 1948, they redesigned the restaurant for full efficiency and speed. And they found ways to basically turn it into an assembly line because they were seeing that that's the best way to create cars and different things. Like that was a huge concept. Mm-hmm. So they actually practiced it in their backyard. They had a tennis court and they drew it out on the tennis court and then had all the workers practice like the assembly line. Yeah. And that's actually in the movie and Founder. They show that too. So that's my favorite scene in the movie. It's really cool to see it because he's like, 2 pickles, 2 pickles. He only does 1 pickle. He's like 2. And they're all just like on chalk.
Wow.
I feel like the good old days when we'd create a whole like chalk town.
I loved it.
Right?
Loved it.
So that's kind of what his idea, or both of their ideas was like, let's just create an assembly line so that way we can go faster. So while fixing it up, they had a big sign outside of the restaurant that said, closed for alterations, and they announced in big letters, drive-in hamburger bar, the first one in America. So that was their way of getting people excited. And I'm sure everyone was like, where's the car hops? What's going on? So they reopened on December 12th, 1948 with the new name McDonald's. And they had... they had more of a simple menu with 6 items now. So they have hamburgers, cheeseburgers, potato chips, coffee, and soft drinks, and apple pie. Dick found out the trade secrets from a candy industry when posing as a freelance writer. Iconic. Dick is very much the one who's like trying to find ways to be efficient.
Yeah.
He's very like logical. Mm-hmm. And Mac is more the creative. So they work really well together.
That's what you need in a duo.
Yeah, for sure. And so Dick actually, when he was touring I say his name now without smiling, guys. Aren't you proud? But he was touring the candy industry, like the candy factories, and he was noticing the things that they did to make things go faster. Mm-hmm. And he saw them make like the peppermint patties. He saw them use a cone thing where they hit a button and then it made like a perfect patty. And he was inspired by that. And he was like, we could use that, not for patties, but for the condiments. So he came up with the idea of making one so that it would give you the correct proportion of ketchup and mustard.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because what they were doing before is they had to like lather on the condiments. Yeah. And it took a while. But this way they could just kind of put the buns in a circle. Mm-hmm. And as it turned, it would be like boom, 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 boom. And they'd each get ketchup and mustard, the right amount.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was a pretty good move. So, and then they also had a okay. They also had a mechanical press that would quickly form beef patties too. So that way they wouldn't have to like sit there and like form a good beef patty. And this way they'd all be the same size.
Interesting.
Yeah. So milkshakes were in high demand. They were like all the craze.
Of course.
Yeah. So the brothers were like, oh, fine, I guess we'll do milkshakes. We'll see how it goes. But like, how are we going to do milkshakes with this crappy blender that we have? So they ended up buying 8 blenders called the multi-mixers, which allowed each machine to make 5 milkshakes at a time.
Damn.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, I think this will be a good purchase. So they bought 8 of them. This would lead to somebody else showing up pretty soon. We'll get there. I know.
So at this time,
yes,
their ice cream machine worked.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Well, not yet. They don't have it yet. Well, actually, yeah, now they do. But yeah. Yeah. Isn't that shocking?
Worked back in 1948. Why can't it work in 2023?
Sometimes their soda machines aren't working.
Really?
I've been there once and they were like, our soda's gone. I was like, all of it? And they're like, yeah.
See, this is why I don't go there that often.
I literally only go there when I'm drunk. Like at the end of the night, and I just want fries.
Just are appealing.
Yeah,
I know this different. About you because when we got super trashed,
we've done it many times.
I think it was either the night before my wedding or it was a different night we went out and you literally forced James to stop at McDonald's so we could get fries.
Yeah, I think that was a different night, but we also did it the night before your wedding.
Dude, I had a huge hangover the day of my wedding. Thanks a lot. People just kept buying me drinks.
Yeah, the fries hit different.
They do. They really do.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the fries. in the science that goes into those too.
Ooh.
Yeah. So one thing about McDonald's at this time, they did not allow for substitutions. And I feel like it's kind of how they are still. Like, they don't really, like, you know, they don't have gluten-free buns or anything like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if you ask for, like, no pickles, they're still going to give you pickles.
True.
Like, eat the goddamn pickles. So, but they were, like, well known for that.
Yeah.
You get a hamburger or a cheeseburger, period. So, and that way it could just go quicker. They don't have to focus on, like, having to make things how people want them. That's too slow. So they had brainstormed the assembly line on a tennis court to be able to find a way, like I was talking about earlier, to serve a customer. And they ended up using that as a way to practice doing it in 20 seconds. So they could prepare an order in 20 seconds.
Damn.
Yeah, they were way faster than they are nowadays. I'll tell you that much. So customers would now have to get out of their cars and order out the window, which was a huge deal. They were like, I have to get out of my car? They were shocked. And the new staff had to be all male, as women workers were a distraction.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know that part really pissed me off. But no more women workers. And you see this for like decades there.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it took them a long time to hire women.
That's so stupid.
I know.
It's a burger joint.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah. They would also charge less than their competition since they had lower labor costs. So they were like, you know what? It's going to be cheap and people are going to like it because it's cheap, but it's also good. So yeah. Anyway, they also had a new mascot named Speedy. You got to look up a picture of him.
Oh, God.
He's crazy. I'll put him on the Instagram when I post this, but he's like this chubby guy with a chef's hat and he's like winking or smiling or something. I don't know what he's doing.
That's questionable.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So that Speedy was born. And the customers were not happy about the new restaurant. They're like, are you kidding me? Like, we came here so that the car hops would come to us. Like, I'm not getting out of my car. A lot of times they would just drive up and they would honk their horn waiting for a car hop. And then when one didn't come, they would just drive away. They'd be like, are you kidding? So the first month of business was rough. They actually got to a point where they had employees park in the front to pretend that they were busy. So that's a little sad.
Oh,
it's a little sad. The brothers were ready to go back to their barbecue business, but they decided to keep going. They're like, you know what? Just give it a few more months. And after a few months, they actually did start getting regular customers. A lot of these people were cab drivers, construction workers, sales clerks. It helped them with getting a meal quickly on their lunch break. Mm-hmm. Like, they just needed something fast. And so they ended up coming over and over again, which gave them a lot of business. Also, the younger customers thought it was fun to be able to, like, ride their bike to McDonald's, park it, and then go up and order their own food. They thought that was exciting. You know, the kids back then.
It's a form of independence.
Yeah. When you could just, like, ride a bike by yourself in the sandboat. Like, can't do that nowadays. You'll get kidnapped. So,
God.
I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
Especially in Sandbow, California.
Oh, God.
Is it sticking? Does it work?
No. You need a new nickname.
I just thought of a genius one.
What?
Bernie Sanders, because it's Burn. Okay, yeah, that was a bad one. Okay, let's just move on. So it started becoming a bigger success. They were pulling in $100,000 a year, which is about $1,080,805 in today's. I wrote the word in today's money. I wrote the word meal because I was probably thinking about McDonald's. So in today's meal. So the French fries took over for potato chips. They were like, everyone wants fries. It's a new thing. Let's get rid of these chips. And in 1952, that's just a fun fact. That's all I was going to say about those. I'll come back to the fries later. But in 1952, it was featured in an American restaurant magazine stating that it was the most revolutionary development in the industry in the last 50 years. So they really started getting people talking about it.
Damn.
And again, this is one location. Like, they haven't
expanded.
Yeah. People would travel far to eat it. They'd make it like a vacation spot. Like, we have to go try that McDonald's restaurant. So the lines were long.
Ugh.
They were known to not have amazing food, except for the French fries, which were created by Mac. Mac kind of came up with this recipe, I guess. Basically, what he did is he learned to dry the Idaho russets in the desert air to break down the sugar content, which would take a lot of time. But that way they're not like too crunchy, they're not too soft, and they're not like too like salty or sweet. Mm-hmm. So that's what he did, and then they had to kind of find the best temperature to cook them at. So in the movie, you see Mac, he's very passionate about the French fries, and he's like, I don't know, I think we need to cook these longer. So it's kind of fun to see that part, but but they really put a lot of thought into their French fries because they knew that that would be a way that they could stand out. So,
well, they stand out, but for an interesting reason.
Yeah, exactly. So when deciding if they should change the shape of the restaurant instead of the octagonal shape, Dick didn't want them to look like other restaurants. He's like, everybody else has the same rectangular look. Like, it just looks like a building. Ours is unique and fun. So he's like, all the other ones, they're small and scrawny, but ours is perfect. I love that he called a building scrawny.
They would be so disappointed now.
Yeah, they would. They all look the same.
They do. They're so boring. Oh. They look like every single other restaurant.
I know. That is very sad.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Mac thought of adding an arch going parallel to the building and then added another one on the other side and decided that it worked really well. He's like, kind of looks cool. So it's not like just the M. It's not that yet. It's just like one big arch on this side, one big arch on this side. Some locations still kind of have that look, but it's very rare.
One downtown is similar.
Yeah, there is one.
The homeless one.
Which they obviously like revamped. It's not like it's like from back in the day.
Yeah.
But they like wanted to kind of keep that look. So, okay. So then they hired an architect named Stanley Clark Meston to work with them on this idea. And what helped the building stand out was that they decided to add some red and white tiles. They really stuck to that like bright red color. Mm-hmm. They had a lot of stainless steel and lots of glass windows. So that was like their big thing. Like they wanted to look fresh. Mm-hmm. They then added some neon lights and then the golden arches. So it was like a fun place to be. In May 1953, Neil Fox became McDonald's first franchisee, opening a McDonald's in Phoenix, Arizona. So now there's 2 locations. Unfortunately, neither of them exist today. So sad.
Oh,
I know. So then the second franchisee was Neil Fox's brother-in-law, Roger Williams, and his friend Bud Landon in Downey, California. And this is the oldest surviving McDonald's still today. So this one still exists, and it's the only one that has the original look.
I'm surprised that the original.
Yeah. And the only reason why is because it's the only location that's under the McDonald's brothers' names. So our friend who's coming later was not able to change it.
Oh.
Yeah. Or he just didn't care that much. Mm-hmm. I think it's the latter. But so the brothers hired a franchise agent, Bill Tainsey, knowing that they wanted to open a bunch more California locations, but they wouldn't be able to take care of them all. And so they're like, we want somebody to be able to help us out. But, like, we don't want to go too far. We just kind of want to stay in this area because we don't want to have to, like, travel a lot. Like, we want to keep things pretty simple. Mm-hmm. And that was their goal from the beginning. They never wanted it to be, like, a huge success. They never wanted it to be, like, worldwide.
Yeah.
That just wasn't their vision. They wanted to keep it very local. And so they're like, we're just going to hire this person. He's going to help us out kind of getting more California locations. So he sold 21 franchises and 9 more stores opened. And this was all in the span of like 2 years, 1953, 1954.
Dang.
Unfortunately, he had to stop working with them after having many health problems. Rest in peace, Bill. Well, he didn't die at that point, but like, you know.
He was retired.
Yeah. Roy Kroc now enters our picture. This is our bad guy, as people call him.
Boo.
I think people have different opinions. Some people will say he was bad. Some people will say he's a businessman. So it's kind of all on your perspective of things.
It's both bad.
I agree. I definitely agree.
I'm biased.
But did I call him Roy?
Yeah.
I meant Ray.
Right. Okay.
That is so embarrassing. I know, guys, everyone's probably like listening and they're like, his name is not Roy Kroc. His name is Ray Kroc. I just cannot read my writing. And I definitely know his name is Ray. So, not Roy. Okay, anyway. So Ray comes in the picture and he noticed McDonald's ordered 8 multi-mixers. And he's like, why does anybody need 8 of them? Like, what kind of business is this? Which was, again, the fancy blenders. So he actually owned these blenders. So this was like his business. He was selling all of these to different restaurants and different things like that. Gas stations, because they had like soda machines.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get them there. So he was going anywhere that he could to sell these blenders. So he decided, you know what? This McDonald's place has ordered 8 of them. I'm going to go see what's going on. So he decided to take a little trip to California. Sanbo. You're welcome. He went to go check on how business was going there and was truly impressed with what he saw. So let's dive into Raymond Albert Kroc for a second, shall we? We're going to go a little back in time to his birth. So Raymond Albert Kroc was born on October 5th, 1902 to a couple named Louis and Rose Kroc. Louis had immigrated from the Czech Republic, and he was a huge baseball fan and worked at Western Union. Rose was born in the U.S., and she was a housewife, and she also taught piano lessons, so they kind of had that in common, which was interesting.
Huh.
So Ray grew up in Illinois and learned how to play the piano and organ. That was like his big thing right away.
Interesting.
He also liked playing baseball. So he was just kind of interested in learning about everything. He worked odd jobs like lemonade stands, and he worked at his uncle's drugstore starting at a young age, where he learned how to provide great customer service from the beginning. He was a good salesman from the time he was like 12.
Damn.
Yeah.
Starting young.
Right. So he was always thinking about new ideas and kind of what else he could create or what else he could sell. He was good at debates in school and good at convincing people of different things. So he knew these things about himself and he would use them in the future. At age 14, him and his 2 friends put in $100 each to open a music shop. They sold sheet music and some instruments like ukuleles, like just like small instruments, but people like were buying them. It was not a big success.
Yeah.
But he also dressed up in a suit and he was trying to like impress the ladies. So he'd like get a ukulele and be like, don't. And they'd be like, wow. So they barely made any money and they cut ties with the music shop. So the summer before junior year of high school, Ray decided to drop out. Yeah, he was like, peace out. So the U.S. had at that point entered World War I, and Ray lied about his age to be an ambulance driver for the Red Cross. Many people lied about their age. It's very common.
Yep.
But he actually, while he was there, this part's very exciting, he met another kid who also lied about his age, a kid many made fun of because he was always drawing in his free time. Do you know who it is?
Was it Walt?
Yeah!
Holy
Isn't
shit!
that cool?
No way!
Isn't that crazy? Walter Elias, also known as Walt Disney. Go back to episode 2 if you want to know more.
Please.
Is it episode 2? I think. No, it's like 4. Episode 4.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah,
something like that.
Oh, we need to redo that one.
Yeah, we do.
Underwater days. But yeah, isn't that crazy that like they just...
Such a small world.
Yeah, it is a small world. It's so crazy.
Dreamers.
Yeah.
Working in a war.
Like McDonald's and Disney.
2 powerhouses.
Yeah. That's crazy. So
we can all thank the war for that.
Thank you, war. Okay. Ray never got sent overseas due to the war ending before he was assigned. He was upset about that. He was hoping he would get sent overseas.
They always do.
Yeah. In 1919, Ray went back to school in Chicago at age 17 for 1 semester, and then he dropped out again. He's like, actually, never mind. I'd rather not. He ended up selling ribbon novelties and played piano. So that was like his way of making some money. Mm-hmm. And in the summer of 1919, he began playing in a band at a popular hotel called Edgewater. Ray met his wife, Ethel, there. And in 1920, his father got a promotion with his job ADT, so the family had to move to New York. Ray got a new job in New York, but one day noticed that it had gone bankrupt. He literally showed up for work and there was a bankrupt sign and he was like, cool.
Wow.
So he was like, well, time to go back to Chicago. And then his family was like, yeah, same. I don't like it here. So they all moved back to Chicago. That's a very popular theme in his life. He just like goes somewhere and then he's like, nah, let's go back to Chicago. So
Chicago's just his home.
Yeah. In 1922, he wanted to marry Ethel, but his dad was like, no woman wants to marry someone without a stable job. And he was like, you right. So he started selling paper cups with a Lily Tulip paper company. This is not mentioned in Founder, by the way. So, interesting. Yeah, he sold paper cups for a while.
That's because no one wants him to be remembered by that.
No, it's kind of sad. So in 1923, he was 21 years old, and he was the top salesman for Lily Tulip. Yay! He would work at a radio station at night, and he would play piano there from 6 to 8 p.m. Then he would go home, take a little rest, eat some dinner. He'd come back and play from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh.
And then he'd go home, and then he'd have to be up by 7 to go back to the paper cups. That was his day.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so he never took a day off, and this caused a lot of tension in their relationship. So with Ethel, so Ray started taking Saturdays off, and they were like, okay, it's getting a little better. So in 1924, they had their first and only kid, Marilyn. She's not even in the movie.
Wow.
I know. And then in spring 1925, Ray was selling cups to a fancy restaurant, and he was able to buy a new car because of the success from that. So Ray noticed what?
A fancy restaurant wants paper cups.
Yeah.
Why can't we still do that?
Right?
No, they're too bougie for that. They have to have glass.
I know. It's Ray noticed that real estate was becoming big in Florida. It was so random, but he was like, you know what? Let's go to Florida. Because it was almost as big as the gold rush is what people were referring it to.
Well, yeah, because it was so easy to build out there.
Yeah. So he got a 5-month-long leave of absence and moved to Florida. He sold real estate, but the boom ended very quickly. So it didn't last very long, and he was like, awesome. Okay, well, I guess I'll stay here for a little bit. But then he was like, nah, I'm going back to Chicago. That's what he does best. So then Ray got a job in an orchestra in a nightclub, making about $110 a week. He was able to buy a large apartment since he was making bank from the nightclub. He was making pretty good money. Mm-hmm. And they were also illegally selling alcohol, and this was during Prohibition. Ooh. Yeah, so they were making pretty good money. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to stay there. But it eventually got busted, and Ray was in jail for 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah. So he decided, okay, I'm going to go back to selling paper cups. Actually, I just realized all of that was in Florida, because then he moves back to Chicago. So the nightclub was in Florida. And then he got arrested in Florida. And now he's going back to Chicago.
Like, I don't like Florida anymore.
Yeah. So he's selling paper cups again in 1927, and he stopped playing piano on the side. He's like, I'll just do cups. So I have more time for my family, I guess. And in 1930, he made a deal selling cups to Walgreen Drug Company, also known as Walgreens now, and then other big companies too. So he was making okay money from that. But during the Great Depression, his business was so successful because people were still buying paper cups. So he bought a new Buick, hired a secretary, and had a maid that lived with him.
Interesting.
I know. He was thriving in the Great Depression. And then in 1932, he noticed small castles in Illinois. It was like a Prince Castle ice cream parlor. And he was kind of interested in how they ran business. Mm-hmm. And so he knew a friend who knew how to make thicker milkshakes. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to tell them about this. And maybe they'll want me to help them out. So Ray told Walter, who owned the Prince Castle, about it. He's like, so I have this friend and he knows how to make a really good milkshake. And he was just like, get out. So he turned it down. Ray finally convinced him to try the milkshake, and they decided to create their own thicker and colder milkshake. Yeah, so he began working with them. Yeah.
It's just one thing to another.
I know. And then Earl Prince, which was Roy's friend, invented the multi-mixer, which was at that
Ray's
point...
friend.
Did I say Roy again?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thanks for catching me. Ray's friend invented the multi-mixer, which was, at that point would make 6 milkshakes at a time. Though they did cut it down to 5 because there was a lot of mess going on. They were like, it's too messy. Yep. So Roy ended up showing the Lily Tulip Paper Company the multi-mixer, and they were like, yeah, I like it. It's kind of random to sell paper cups and then a blender, but that's kind of what he was trying to do. So they ended up signing a contract to distribute it, but when their headquarters in New York found out, they said they only sold paper cups, and they were pissed. So Earl Prince was like, quit your job and let's just sell it together. I think that'll be great. But then Ray was like, well, because they already have a contract with the multi-mixer, like we've already planned on selling with them. His Tulip boss gave him a deal of him owning 40% of sales while they would own 60%.
Oh.
So yeah, they were getting sales just because of that contract.
Damn.
Yeah. And then in 1938, the multi-mixer was being sold, and he tried to sell it everywhere that he possibly could. In 1940, he decided he wanted to completely own it, and his ex-boss said that he could for $68,000 in cash.
Damn.
Yeah. He paid it off over 5 years. So now his marriage was struggling with all their debt majorly.
I bet.
She was just kind of like, can you just like not do this? Can you just like find a job that's stable? And then in 1941, the U.S. entered World War II and restricted copper. Now, copper was used in the multi-mixer, and Ray decided to sell malted milk powder in paper cups because like they had to put a hold on the multi-mixer for a minute until the war was over.
Yeah.
So it was called Multiplenty, and yeah, it would just make like an instant milkshake, which is really gross to think about. Yeah. Now and then he because he was able to pay it off, he fully owns the multi-mixer in 1945. And then after the war, business started booming, and Ray sold 5,000 multi-mixers a year.
Damn.
And they were $150 a piece. Damn. So, but then he had less sales in the 50s because soda fountains were disappearing. And there were other versions of the multi-mixer. So he's like, oh no, they have competition. So in 1954, he kept getting random calls about like how they have to keep sending mixers to these McDonald's people. And he's like, who are these people? And why do they need so many blenders?
Why does he care so much?
I know. But he's like, they have to be successful if they need to make that many milkshakes.
Yeah.
So he ended up visiting McDonald's and watched the workers start the workday. And he was impressed. I'm just going to do a little bit more and then we'll stop part 1. But this is kind of where I let off last time. Mm-hmm. And then we went into his childhood, well, his life story. Now we're back here at McDonald's.
Yep.
So he visited and he watched the workers start the workday. He was very impressed by the uniforms and the efficient work he saw. They were they were known to give really good service back then and be very respectful to everybody. Nowadays you go and they're like, what you want? But back then they had to be like top tier. So
like Chick-fil-A top tier.
Yeah, exactly. So he was very impressed by this. And he also looked around and he saw that there were so many families there, just like eating together. And he was like, wow, family oriented. I like it. So then after talking to customers, he learned that people liked McDonald's because of their food, but also because it was half the price as others. So Ray decided to approach the McDonald brothers and learned their system. This was probably, some people will say, the worst mistake that they made. Other people will say this is what led to McDonald's success. So I'm going to stop there because that's a good place. Yeah. So he's peeping in their kitchen. He's seeing all the secrets.
He's peeping in the kitchen. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I had no idea of any of that.
There's a lot more coming.
Good Lord.
So, yeah, it's a very dramatic story. And I'm going to let you all decide if you think Ray is a bad guy or not at the end.
I mean, he can't keep a job to save his life. He just keeps hopping from one to another.
I know.
His poor wife.
Yeah, and in the movie, she has no personality. She's just so sad. She's just like...
Well, if you keep moving and then you keep coming back to Chicago, at that point, I would just be like, hey, I'm staying in Chicago to hold down the fort. You figure out what you're going to do for the next few months. I will be here.
Right.
Let me have a side piece.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it's... I know I keep referencing the movie, but because I just watched it, I'm like noticing all these things that they like did accurately. So anyway, that's part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 because it's about to get juicier. And yeah.
Where can you find us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Historia the Podcast. You can email us at historiathepodcast@gmail.com. we will talk to you guys next time.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
No. We always end that way.